Hello, world. What is up? Welcome to Build. I'm your host, Matt Forte. We are here live at the Build Studio in New York City. Our next guest is one of the stars of the Emmy Award-winning ABC series Shark Tank. He's CEO and founder of FUBU, as well as CEO of the Shark Group. And amongst many other things, he's also a New York Times best-selling author. His latest book, Powershift, Transform Any Situation, Close Any Deal, and Achieve Any Outcome, is available today. Joining me now to talk about the book and reluctantly hear out all of my small business ideas, please welcome the great Daymond John. Everybody, Daymond, how you doing, man?
I'm well, thank you.
It's so great to have you back on the show. Congratulations. We were just saying, 5th book.
Yeah, my 5th book, yeah.
Huge, man. Absolutely huge. It's fantastic. I was looking online. You had posted the opening of the box. You equated it to the as close as you'll get to experiencing a birth, like birthing
well,
your
for
baby.
men,
right. Mentally, spiritually, intellectually, of course.
Yeah, no matter what level you get at in life, you know, if you work on a project and you really love what you're doing, when it comes to fruition, it's that moment. It's like, I worked on this and I'm feeling good about it, you know?
Sure, man. And you said year and a half, 2 years, almost 2 years of your life poured into this, right?
2 years, yeah. You know, remember, I'm dyslexic, and so I don't write books just to write them. I write them because I feel that there's a need or something not being addressed in a way that I can empower people. So it takes me years to write a book and to get together all the subjects in the book, as well as just craft it and work with my co-writer to put it together. Yeah,
I'm excited to dive into a lot of that, especially some of the interviews and stuff that you've done in here that are great, a really exciting part of it. But where does it all start? You know, when you get up to 5 books, when you finish your 4th, and you know I'm going to write another one, I'm going to write more. Where does it begin? Where does the idea? Where did Powershift come from? The seedling.
Yeah. So when you get up to that amount of books, if you're not an author by trade, it's like, okay, I'm probably not going to write another book for a while, and then. You know, it's kind of that thing where you see, it was that 1 week or maybe 1 month where there was a lot of things happening in my life where I saw a lot of people come up to me or hit me on social media saying, I just don't have any power in my life, or I don't have any control, or somebody's holding me back, or maybe who can give me permission? And I said, what are you talking about? I'm giving you permission today to go and take back the power in your life, and don't think that anybody else is holding you back, because this is not about money. This is not about anything else besides you being able to create influence, which you already have one way or another. Are you tapped into it? Then negotiate what you want out of life, but more importantly, the way to negotiate. And it's the big thing is what's in it for the other person that you're negotiating with. The big mistake is people just go me. And then how are you nurturing those relationships, digging deeper into those relationships and benefiting off of it for the next 10, 20 years, whether you're doing a deal with them or not, or whether they're out there recommending you. And when I say this is not about business. This is about your personal life, whether it's, enjoying quality of life with your significant other and getting them to go on vacation one more time a year so you can remember how it was when you dated. You know what I mean? Or it's getting a job or leaving a job or getting a promotion.
And that's kind of the beauty of this particular book as I was reading through it, is like, yes, 100% there are things that are applicable within the context of a business scenario, but it extends far beyond that. And it's just literally everyday life of just how to have conversations and communicate better and communicate with other people.
Yeah, and I wish I could tell you that there was a method to my madness when I was power shifting through my life while I was coming up, but I didn't know what I was doing. And then after, probably a couple of years ago, I said, wait a minute. Why was I able to move throughout so many different industries? Why is the Kardashians who they are? Why is Pitbull? I said, I got to interview these people to see if we have something in common through the ways that we use our power and or empower others. And so when I started studying these subjects, these very famous subjects, people, and some people that you would not necessarily know of, I started to find this defining formula. And I was like, I got to write this blueprint down and just give it to people.
How did you decide? How did you come up with that list of people? Like what inspired you? Kris Jenner, I know you've known for a while, and of course Cuban, you work with him. How did you know these are the people that I really want to talk to?
We came up with a master hit list, and a lot of people have been subjects in my other books. And then we came up with a list. Okay, so well, how many people here are everyday people? How many people here are in sports? How many people here are in music and entertainment? So when you come up when you think about a Lindsey Vonn, and you go, wait, this is the winningest skier in history, men, women, right? Period. She practices for 4 years to win in like a millisecond against the world's best. And what was her discipline to go through that? How did she negotiate with herself about getting up every day and breaking limbs and doing things like that? But then you go and you talk to a Kris Jenner and you say, you know, your girls are not known because of they originally were music artists or athletes. And how do you navigate to become the best or the most known family on the planet besides probably the second most Google family on the planet besides the president? How did you get to do that, and what did you activate? Because, you know, I represented the Kardashians for their first couple of years, and I had explained to Kris Jenner about how I was doing music videos and integrating things like that. She would then shift that power and take it and use it on another platform, meaning social media, and do wildly more than I could do. Right? How did you? What was the essence of what I gave you, and then how did you take that and 10x it?
Was it fun as you were compiling all of these interviews and all these conversations and all these different life experiences from all these different areas, sports every day? But was it fun finding that through line and seeing the consistency in everybody's work?
Yeah, because I'm going through it as a student. I'm interviewing them, asking them, like, I want to learn. I mean, that's what I do. I learn every day, and I started to find those through lines. And I'll give you an example. I would also interview other people that you wouldn't know. So a young lady named Charlinda, who I met through the Bob Evans contest, Heroes, the CEOs. She is a veteran. Her family, three generations of people who gave for this country, like many people here who are watching. She decided to go into business for herself because her grandfather had a great sauce, and she decided to come out with this thing called a mud sauce, and she's doing extremely well. But I also wanted to look at people who are power shifting their lives, because a lot of times veterans are our most underappreciated commodity in this country, but when they are learning how to do what they did in the service, you know, get jobs done by any means necessary, whatever, and then they move it into entrepreneurship, they're unstoppable. So I wanted to see that through line through everybody and learn from them, and in a selfish way, I'll apply it to my own business.
Well, that was the other thing too. You mentioned this in the interview, and it's very early in the book as well. Is that you were unaware that this is something you were doing throughout your life, and it was only after you started writing this book and really embracing the idea that you would go back and reflect and see all these different moments and identify, oh, I was power shifting here, and I did it there as well.
Yeah, and I think that one of the most important things that I open up the book with is my hurdle that I had with cancer, that I had to negotiate with myself first. When I found out that when I was in between the testing, when they took this rock of cancer, this golf ball rock out of my throat, thyroid cancer, they were testing it, and it took about 2 weeks. But in that first week, it was the real negotiation I had to have myself that every one of us has in the mirror every Monday morning or whatever the case is. And I had to say, am I willing to fight this thing, or I've lived a better life than 10 people combined? Maybe I should start winding things down. And listen, if this thing happens to move to my lymph nodes in my brain, maybe I'm not going to be on this planet anymore, and I'll accept that. Or will I fight this thing to the death because I need to be around for my daughters and my mother and my family? And believe it or not, it was about a week of really internally searching what I should do. But after I decided that I wasn't going to let this thing stop me, I don't care if it moved all the way to my brain, I didn't even remember that I was waiting for a diagnosis to come in. So when the diagnosis came in, I was like, oh, yeah. Oh, by the way, okay, it was cancerous. No problem. I'm good. And, listen, I'm cancer-free today, and you never know if it comes back. Thank God it's the slowest growing cancer, thyroid cancer. But, again, what do I want people to take away from this? I had to have a hard, truthful negotiation with myself and know my why. Why do I want to beat this, or why do I not want to fight this?
And that's something that fuels you every day at that point. Right?
Yeah, it does. But a lot of people, when we're talking about power shifting, they really don't even know their why. I notice that most people don't know their why. Why are you doing what you're doing? Is it because you think society looks at you differently, because you're unaccepted, because your parents told you to do this, because you really want to change the world? What's your why? When you get to this point, what are you fighting for? If you want $1 million, I've been using lately, but people really, I can see the wheel spinning their head. You want to be a millionaire? Why? Do you want to buy one Bugatti? You want to buy 10 cars? You want to buy income-producing properties? You want to go move to a small little island, live off $30,000 a year for 10 years, carve canoes and live the best life ever, save the sea turtles and put the other, $700,000 in long-term bonds, and then come back and then start working? why. And a lot of people don't know their why.
That canoe one was real specific, Daymond. Is that your backup plan? If you got to go to an island someday, I'm going to carve canoes. That's what I want to do in the back of my mind.
I actually have thought about when I retire, am I going to go away and do something like that? Yes. I want to have my own island, call myself King Kamehameha.
You've got it all mapped out.
I've already figured this whole thing out.
That's
my
man.
why.
That's your why. Of course you know your why. Another thing you cover in the book, I think it's in like chapter 7-ish, I wrote it down, the importance of doing your homework and doing your research going in. And I'm curious, going into those interviews to talk to all those people with these wonderful stories, what was your homework like? How did you prepare for those?
Of course, I researched the people. Like, I would research Pitbull, and most people would think about him as this pop star, and he is. But when I researched him prior, I realized that he was a real street battle rapper kind of guy, and the keeping it real in the music industry. When he moved over and said, you know what? Sometimes people just want to dance. They don't want to hear about the hardships of where I grew up, right? All the other rappers were like, yeah, whatever. But the real rappers knew, don't battle him because he's really good. But then I turned around and found even further that he has charter schools. He has a lot of other businesses, and he has businesses globally. And that's why he's called Mr. Worldwide. So I did my research on most of all of these people, the honest truth. Another one that I really love that I did my research on, and this is, I think it's a good time to discuss this, is this woman named Crystal. And she had a baby. It was a preemie baby, and so she comes back to her job after taking maternity leave and like, hey, I can't work as much because I have a preemie baby at home. They're like, well, you can't work part-time. But what did she do? She lives in Ohio now. She became a virtual assistant for a company called Belay, where they have a lot of virtual assistants who work from home. Now, she doesn't have to trek through the snow. She doesn't have to wear a face mask. She gets to stay home with her family and her baby. She works 20 hours for me, 5 hours for this person, if she wants, or maybe 30 hours for somebody else at her under her discretion, at her time. She makes more money. She stays at home, and she educated herself. So I learned from so many people like that, and I think that's appropriate for today's conversation. If your company is going to tell you can stay home, so do me a favor. Don't take that 3 hours that you saved a day and go and play video games with it. Educate yourself.
I saw a quote from you, I think, that you said that I thought that was really smart. Nobody else had that perspective yet. Like, if we're all working from home, there's 3 hours potentially of your day if you commute someplace that you get
more
back.
Time. Like, if you were working and you didn't have a time to watch Build right now and all the amazing people you brought on, make sure you watch Build to educate yourself on these things, or make sure you can cook at home and be healthier, work out a little bit more. You know what? Enjoy your family, or make sure you pray or go to your church or whatever. Take that time to use it, because you're going to turn around, blink your eye, this thing's going to be over. You're going to be going back to work. Will you be better when you go back there to equip yourself to be a better person for your benefit, not for the company, for your benefit? And in return, you'll help the company.
Do you think we're going to see, as right now we're in the midst, everybody's panicking and the stock market's tumbling and all this stuff's happening, but something really interesting is more people than ever are going to see what it's like to work from home. Do you think there's going to be, what do you foresee long-term effects on business coming out of this, onto the other side of this?
I think there's going to be a lot of businesses that are going to fall by the wayside, and then a lot of businesses that are going to excel. I think there's going to be a lot of new entrepreneurs in this world who had an idea and or something, and now all of a sudden they're going to do really well. There are going to be businesses that are going to say, wait a minute, we always thought that social media was for kids, but now no customers in our store, and we have no data on these customers, and they live down the block. I can't even get to them anymore, right? There are going to be other businesses that are going to say, you know what, we've been preparing virtually to have people work, and you know what, I'm glad we invested in this stuff 5 years ago, or we're always up for change. And other companies are going to say, man, we had to work through this so hard to learn this stuff. I'm not going to let this happen to me again. I'm going to prepare, because no matter what, something else is going to happen. So this is a time where it's going to be very polarizing for businesses and people.
It's interesting for sure. I want to go back to the book in that same chapter about doing your homework. I think more so than a lot of the other Shark books, there's also a very clear, specific roadmap for anyone who wants to get on the show and get you to invest in their idea. You tell people exactly what 3 things that you're like looking for and pay attention to. How long did it take for you to identify those 3? How long were you on the show before you realized these are the 3 things I'm looking for?
It probably took me about 2 to 3 years, because I, just like the book, I said, this is what I'm looking for, but then I started to talk to the other sharks, and I saw that they were looking for the same things. But I do want to tell you, when you're out there negotiating and selling yourself, you have to build influence, then negotiate and value the relationship. We're talking about the show, the most successful product in the show's history is called Bombas Socks. It is a company that I invested in, two great guys. But they did it so well, they targeted me when they got on the show. And I didn't know that I wanted to invest in them. They knew me better than I knew myself or my needs, right? Because if you look, when I was on the show, I'm on the show, I don't want to invest in any clothing companies because I got a bunch of clothing companies, right? So the last thing I wanted to do was invest in a stock company. But because they did their homework about how to pitch the sharks and also realize where I had shortcomings or where I found value. Number one, every time they sell a pair of socks, they give a pair away to the homeless. They've given away almost 30 million pairs of socks away, right? They knew that I cared about charitable organizations, and obviously I care about, people as well. So they knew that. They also knew that the reason why my clothing brands weren't working is because I was at the mercy of the retailers. I was the guy who had to worry about how the retail is going to sell it, and they were going to show me how they were selling their socks direct to the consumer, and that would educate me and be able to help my brands. They got me to invest in them, and now it's the number one brand ever invested in on the show.
Yeah, I loved that story because I had no idea the depth of those guys. They watched like every episode. They studied like game tapes, and they picked out everything. They knew exactly, and they walked in with a strategy, and they did exactly what they set out to do. And it's pretty impressive to see it work like that. Is it, with the world being what it is, do you think it's almost like as an entrepreneur and someone coming with a new business, it's kind of incumbent on them to have a social element at this point? It's almost irresponsible not to have some kind of charitable element to your new idea or new business?
Well, I'm not going to call it irresponsible, but because I don't want anybody to go out and do something that for just, to hang up a shingle that they're helping people that they don't care about. But the consumer today wants to know, what are you doing for other people? And with transparency of social media, the consumer has an opportunity to buy from anybody and everybody. So why should they buy from you? And when they buy from you, at the end of the year, the consumer wants to say, I supported 300 organizations. Every time I did this, I helped the homeless. Every time I did this, I helped dyslexic kids. Or every time I bought this, I helped clean up the ocean. So it is something, but you have to be true to it too, because it can hurt you. If you're doing it and you're just saying it, and it's not real, you're going to go down just as fast.
People can detect that nowadays, more so than ever. The other thing I loved about this book, you can read it. There's a ton of great stories. You can just enjoy the book and go about your day. But you also have a companion workbook series available. I won't give away the secret URL. Right. It's in the book. Yeah. But there's like all these great workbooks that people can follow along and actually, really use it almost like a textbook or like its own course in a way.
Takeaways, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Is that challenging to kind of create those things in tandem? Do you finish the book, then do the workbook? Are you doing it all at once?
You finish the book first to know what elements are really strong. Because remember, when you write a book, it's this big and you have to condense it. So once it's down to this, to what you think is the best meat, then you can say, okay, let's dig deeper on this topic and make sure that people can get the most value out of it.
And it felt like almost like a Daymond on Demand light kind of thing. Like it's a little bit of that like special sauce just over here.
I like that. Yeah. You know what, man? Yes, it is like a Daymond on Demand, my 8-hour digital course, but it's like a smaller, more condensed version that can help you.
Very cool. I don't want to give away the 11 herbs and spices, but there's a great story at the end about your relationship with Spike and just kind of like over the years and how that's kind of evolved and changed and stuff.
Oh, Spike Lee.
Exactly.
Yeah, that he built influence with me first, and then we had interactions, and then something great really happened 20 years down the road that you'll see it. You'll be able to reflect over that with your relationships, through your history of dealing with people, yeah.
Did you know from the beginning you were going to stick the landing and end with that story, or you found it along the way?
Yeah, not at all. When you're putting a book together, you're coming up with the things that you find fascinating and intriguing, and then all of a sudden, if something is more fascinating, more intriguing, you say, which one is better or more important for the end user, the reader, to take away from? Scratch that, and then put that in,
Is it getting at 5 books deep? Is it getting easier? Is it happening a little fast? Nope.
Not at all. No, not at all. I think that's part of the Powershift. Is that I'm dyslexic. And I listen. I was born an African American, and some people may say that's a disadvantage. I was born poor, and I was born dyslexic. None of that's going to change, right? So what can I do today to move forward? Because that is what it is. So writing another book. If I write another book, I'm still going to be dyslexic. It's not going to be easy, right?
Have you given thought to what the next one might be? Or you just
No,
wait for it to,
no, I'm not. I don't have plans on writing another book at the moment because I'm so deep into this one and the other ones that I have written. And if those things present itself, I only write books now that if I feel that the public has said, Daymond, you've given us this, but I still need to know this. Is it possible? I need to hear that from 10,000 people. Yeah. Once I hear that from 10,000 people or 1,000, and I start asking people and putting up things on my social media saying, well, what are you missing in your life? If I hear it overall a lot of times, then I go, all right, well, maybe I should address this if I know enough about it. If I don't know enough about it, I'm gonna mind my business, you know? You'll never have I can't say never, but you may not have a book from me on software and cyber crime. I'll leave that up to Robert. Yeah. Right? So, his area. Yeah.
Last thing that I just remembered I wanted to ask you about. In that video that we started with that I talked about where you said it's like the birthing experience of the new book, you had a special railroad spike letter opener. You said it was very special to you that you use on special occasions. What's the story there? Where'd you get that?
Somebody gave it to me from a little older blacksmith in North Carolina. He takes railroad spikes and he creates letter openers, and it takes him something like 12 hours to make one. And I use it for very special occasions. When I use it during the holidays, when I'm opening cards from people that I value and I believe they value me, and they're sending me things. When my daughter's birth certificate came in the mail, her little Social Security card, I open it for very special moments. It's just a symbol to me that this is special.
Does it have a special case? Does it sit in the drawer? How do you hold on to this special item?
Well, it used to, but now it's just kind of hanging out somewhere.
And you know where it is.
And I believe that it says on it, who God bless, no man curse. So.
Man.
Yeah.
Well, I got to let you go. You have literally a trillion things to do. But congratulations, man. The book is available. Oh, is there an audio? There's an audio book as well, right?
There's an audio book on it as well. Perfect. And yeah, you can get it on all platforms. And I'll be out doing my tour around the country. And there's a lot of opportunities on social media to, like, if I happen to be in North Carolina, I say, hey, if you buy 10, you can meet me at this hotel with a group of 4 or 5 people. We're not going to have too many people out there, of course, because of what's going on. And we'll sit for an hour and talk and things like that in nature. So there's a lot of opportunity to meet me, and I'm happy about it. And Skype with me and a lot of other things to support the book.
Great. What's best place to go? Website resource for them?
The best for my resources is DaymondJohn.com. Yeah, and you can always email me at Daymond@DaymondJohn.com as well.
Perfect. Powershift is available right now today. There's an audio book, so if you drive around or commute, get that and listen to it. A lot of great stories and a lot of really valuable information and advice in here. It's an awesome book. Thank you so much again for being here, Daymond John. Thank you, man.